All right, here we go. Unit review for area, perimeter, circumference, surface area, all that good stuff. So the circumference is basically the perimeter of a circle. Okay, so it's just the length that it is around the circle. And the formula for the circumference of a circle is the diameter times pi. Okay, and so your diameter is going to be all the way from one side of the circle to the other, which is basically 2 times the radius. So if I multiplied this by 2, that would give me 12 for my diameter. So your circumference then for here is going to be 12, my diameter, times 3.14. So 12 times 3.14 is 37.68. So this guy is 37.68 millimeters, not squared, not cubed, because it's just the distance around. So it's literally just a length, millimeters. Now your area is going to be pi times your radius squared. Okay, so again, 3.14, right, times your radius here is 6, and we're going to square that. Okay, so 6 squared is 36 times 3.14, and that is 113.04. Here we have a trapezoid, and they want the perimeter. So they want this, plus this, plus this, plus this. This side is 5, this side is 5, and another reason I know that this is 5 is because if I draw a dotted line here, like I did, like there is over here, this would be 3 from here to here, this would be 3, and this would be 3. So if this is 3 and this is 4, we have a right triangle. It's a 3, 4, 5 triangle. So this length over here is 5. So we have 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 3 plus 9 is 12. So 10 plus 12 is 22 inches. And again, it's just the distance around. So it's not squared, it's not cubed, it's just straight inches. Like you took a ruler and you measured it, right? The area of a trapezoid, you take the top base, and that kind of sounds like an oxymoron, but this top measurement and the bottom base, so base 1 and base 2, okay, and you add them together. So 3 plus 9, and then you divide that by half, and then you multiply it by the height, which is 4. So 3 plus 9 is 12. If you take half of 12, you get 6 times 4 is 24. 24, and this would be inches squared because this is area. On this one, the perimeter, again, we're just adding all these up, right? So 12 and 13 is 25, plus 5 is 30 meters. And then to find the area, you take half the base times the height. So this could be your base and this could be your height, or this could be your base and this could be your height. Either way, it's going to get the same answer. So half the base times the height, right? So half of 12 is 6 times 5 is 30 meters squared on this one because it's area. Now, this just happened to work out this way that you got the same perimeter as you did area. That doesn't happen all the time, so don't think, oh, I find the perimeter, that's going to be the area. That's not how that works. So keep that in mind. All right, on this one, we have a parallelogram. We take the base times the height, and so it's going to be 5 times, oh, well, first of all, we know these are 5, so the perimeter is 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, which is 20 meters. And then your area is going to be the base times the height, and again, it's going to be 20 meters squared. Now, I just told you that doesn't happen very often. In the very next question, it happens. Okay, so the circumference, again, is all the way around, but we only have half a circle. You do not add this dotted line in. That's just, it's not a solid line. It's just showing you that it's a half a circle. So the circumference, again, remember, is the diameter times pi. Well, the diameter shown here is 8 inches, right, times 3.14. So 8 times 3.14 is 25.12. So 25.12 inches. Okay, And then your area is pi r squared. The r is going to be half of 8, which is 4. So it's 3.14 times 4 squared, which is 16. So 16 times 3.14 is 50.24, so double this, right? Now, what's the problem with everything that I just did? I just caught myself. I wonder if anybody else noticed it. I found the entire circle. We only have a half circle, so we need to take both of these and divide it by 2. Okay? So I'm going to do the bottom one first since it's already loaded up in my calculator. So 50.24 divided by 2 is going to give us 25.12. So 25.12 inches squared for the area. And then when I divide this in half, divided by 2 is 12.56. So 12.56 inches. That's this one. And that one. Okay. On this one, to find the perimeter, we're going to add all the sides. This side's going to be the same as this side, so 12.3. This side's going to be the same as this side, 9.5. So we just add them all up. So 12.3 times 2 is 24.6. That's the top and bottom. And then 9.5 and 9.5 is 19. And so when we add those together, we get 33.6 feet. Then to find the area, it's literally just length times width. So 12.3 times 9.5. 12.3 times 9.5 is 116.85. 116.85 feet squared because it's area. All right. Now on these shaded ones, what you have to do is find the area of the big piece and then subtract the area of the small piece. So on this guy, we have a triangle as the big piece. So half the base would be 6 times the height is 16. So 6 times 16 is 96. So the triangle equals 96. Okay? And then the rectangle is 11 by 6, which is rectangle equals 66. 11 times 6. So to find this piece and this piece, we're going to subtract this from this. Minus 96 minus 66 is 30. And there's no units, so we just put units squared. Okay? This one, the big piece is a rectangle. Okay? So the rectangle is going to be 7 times 13, which is 7 times 13, 91. And then the white piece is a trapezoid. All right? And so to be able to do the trapezoid, we have to find the height. Okay? And so if this is 6, right? Okay, so I don't know what I was thinking, but this height's going to be 7 because this is 7, right? From one side to the other, and it's 90 degrees. So the height is going to be 7. So it's going to be for the trapezoid is going to be 6 plus 13, right? Divided or times 1/2, right? Oops, I don't know why I did that. And then we're going to multiply that times the height, which is 7. So that's going to be 19 over 2 times 7 is 26 over 2. No, that's not 26, that's adding. 19 times 7 divided by 2 is going to be 66.5. 66.5. So that's the white area. The rectangle is 91. So to find this black or gray area here, it would be 91 minus 66.5, which is 91 minus 66.5, 24.5 units squared, because it's, again, area. 24.5 units squared. All right, this one should be pretty simple because you take the area of the big rectangle, which would be 6 times 11 is 66, and you subtract the little one, which is 5 times 2 is 10. So that is just 56 units squared. On this one over here, we find the area of the circle, and then we find the area of the rectangle, and we subtract them. So to find the area of the circle, we need the area of a circle is going to be pi r squared. Okay. So that's 3.14. Always do that, forget that one. And then our r is going to be half the diameter, which is 17 divided by 2. It's going to be 8.5. So 8.5 squared. Okay, clear. So 8.5 squared. And then we multiply that times 3.14. That's 226.87. 226.87. Okay, that's the area of the circle. Then the rectangle, the area of the rectangle is going to be length times height. So 15 times 8. And that is 120. And so now we're going to have to subtract 120 from 226. So that's going to give us 0.8760, 106.87. 106.87 units squared. All right, so number 11, they want to know if this sphere was filled with beads, would the beads fit into this box? So we have to find the volume of this sphere and then see if it is smaller than or equal to the volume of this box. And so we'll see if the beads would fit in that box. So the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. Okay? So 4/3 times 3.14, and then the radius, why does it not tell me what the radius is? Oh, right there it is, 6 inches, so 6 cubed. Don't forget to cube it, not just square it. So we're going to leave this 4/3 and leave this 3.14, and then we're going to find out what 6 cubed is. So 6 to the 3rd power is 216. So 216. I'm going to go ahead and multiply these two together. So 216 times 3.14 is 678.24. So 4/3 of 678.24. So now we can go times. You can either do times 4 and then divide it all by 3, or you can go to this green button and then hit this so that you get the little fraction looking symbol, and put a 4 and a 3 and hit enter, and your answer is 904.32. So 904.32 inches cubed. Okay, that's what the sphere is. The box, lucky enough here, it's just 10 times 12 times 8. And that's it. Length times width times height. So 10 times 12 is 120 times 8 is 960. So this is 960 inches cubed. So yes, this would fit in there. All right, number 12, Mary wants several cans like the one below. She's going to cut them from a sheet metal. So we're going to need to find the surface area and see how many she can get out of this much steel sheet metal. So we've got, that's 6 inches in a diameter, so our radius is going to be 3. So we have to find for surface area, we find the area of this circle and multiply it times 2, because there's one down here also, right? There's this guy on the bottom. So find the area of this circle times 2, and then we find the circumference of the circle times the height. So the area of that circle is going to be pi r squared. So 3.14 times r squared is 3 squared. And that's one circle, so we're going to multiply all of that by 2. So 3 squared is 9 times 3.14, and then multiply it times 2 from the top and the bottom. So the top and the bottom is going to give us 56.52. And then for the side, like all the rest of the can, you find the circumference, which is the diameter times pi, right? So 6 times 3.14 times the height, which is 8. So 6 times 3.14 times 8 is 150.72. 150.72. And then you literally just add those two together. Plus 56.52. So 207.24. 207.24. But we're not done. That's how much it takes to make one can. And she's got this much sheet metal. So we're going to have to take 37.50 and divide it by 207.24. So 37.50 divided by 207.24, and we are going to get 18 cans because we can't get the fractional can out, so it's just 18. So 18 cans. All right, so Marley's going to bake a cake. And remember, when you bake a cake, you only ice the top and the sides. You're not going to ice the bottom. So it's 9 by 13 by 2. So 2, 13, oh, that would be the 9, sorry, 9 and 13. So we're going to do it just like you would a surface area, but you're not going to have a top and a bottom. You're just going to have a top. So your top's going to be 13 by 9, no bottom. And then your side, or your front and your back, are going to be 13 times 2, right? That's the front, and there's a back side back there. So that's 13 times 2, and there's 2 of those. And then the sides, so like here and here, right? It goes over to here. Is 2 times 9, and there's 2 of those. So 13 times 9, oh, come on. 13 times 9 is 117. And then 13 times 2 is 26, and 26 times 2 is 52. And then 2 times 9 is 18, 18 times 2 is 36. So 117, and then 52 and 36 is 205. So 205 inches squared, because it's surface area. Okay? Trey and Matt each have a rectangular prism. So the base of his prism is 4 by 7. So 4 by 7, 4 and 7. And has a height of 12. His is 6 by 10. So 6 and 10, but only has a height of 3. Whose rectangular prism has more material, right? So this again is a surface area. So you're going to have, for this guy, you'll have 2 4 by 7s, right? 4 times 7, and 2 of those. And then you'll have 2 4 by 12s, 4 times 12, and then you'll have 2 7 times 12s. So that's 28 times 2 is 56. And then 12 times 4 is 48, times 2 is 96. And 7 times 12 is 94. 84. 84 times 2 is 168. So that's 168 plus 96 plus 56. 320. So Trey has a surface area of 320. All right, so then now we need to find the surface area for Matt's prism. So that one is 2 times 6 times 3, 2 6 times 10s, and 2 3 times 10s. So 18 times 2 is 36, 60 times 2 is 120, and 30 times 2 is 60. So 180 plus 36 is 216. So they want to know whose prism will require more material. So this one's going to take 320 centimeters, square centimeters, and this one's only going to take 216 square centimeters. So more material would be Trey. All right, Xavier is digging a hole for a new house on a flat piece of land. The hole is 8 feet deep, 30 feet long, and 25 feet wide. The truck he has to carry. So we're going to need to find the volume of that. Okay, so 8 times 30 times 25. 8 times 30 times 25 is 8 times 20 times 35. 708. Yes. 708 cubic feet. Okay? And the truck that he has to carry the dirt away has a rectangular bed of 8 by 6 by 5. So the volume of that truck bed is going to be 8 times 6 times 5, which is 48 times 5 is 240. So they want to know how many truckloads it's going to take to get it out of there. So we take 708 and divide it by 240. 708 divided by 240. It's going to take 2.95 or 3 truckloads to get the dirt out of there. Okay. Which of the following shapes could hold the most water? So to hold the water means we're going to need to know the volume of it. So on this one, a rectangular, that's a triangular prism. It's literally the area of the base times the height. So the area of the base is going to be this guy right here, okay, and then times the height. So half the base, so that's 2 times 13 is 26 times 5. 26 times 5 is 130. So this is 130 cubic feet. This one is just 6 times 5 times 4. So 6 times 5 times 4 is 120 cubic feet. And this one, we have to find the area of this and times it times the height. Now, if you notice, all of these are in, oops, that should be cubed. Cubic feet. This is in inches, so we need to convert these to to feet. So 36 inches is 3 feet, and 60 inches is 5 feet. That way we can compare everything, right? So the area of this circle is going to be pi r squared. So r squared would be 3 times 3 is 9 times pi, so 9 pi. And that's going to be 9 times 3.14. So 28.26. And we multiply that times the height, which is 5 feet. And that's 141.3 cubic feet. So which one's going to hold the most water is the one with the biggest volume, which is the cylinder. This guy right here, 141.3 cubic feet. He holds the most. All right, to find the surface area of a sphere, it is 4 pi r squared. So 4 pi r squared. Oh, I don't know if you can see that, sorry. 4 pi r squared. So that is 4 times 3.14, and then the radius is 5, so that's going to be 25 when you square it. So 25 times 4 is 100, and 100 times 3.14 is 314. So the surface area is 314 centimeters squared. And the volume, that's the 4/3 pi r cubed. Okay, so 4/3 times 3.14, and then the radius is 5 cubed. Okay, so the radius cubed is going to be 125 times 3.14 equals 392.5, and we're going to multiply that by 4/3. Is 523.33. So 23.33 cubic centimeters. Okay. All right, on the cylinder, the surface area of the cylinder, you find the top circle and you multiply it by 2 because there's a circle here and there's a circle down here too, right? This guy down here. So top and the bottom. So you take pi r squared, and that's 3.4. So 3.4 squared times 3.14, right? Pi r squared, and there's 2 of them. So we're going to take all of that and multiply it by 2. So 3.4 squared times 3.14, and then we multiply it by 2, and you get 72.596, so 72.6. 72.6. That's the top and the bottom circles. Then we need to find the side of it, right? So we find the circumference of the circle times the height. So the circumference of this circle is going to be the diameter, which would be 6.8, because you take the radius times 2. So 3.4 times 2 is 6.8. That's your diameter. And you take that times pi. 6.8 times 3.14 is 21.35. 21.35. That is the circumference of the circle. And then you take that times the height. So times 0.82. Or sorry, 8.2. And it's 175.09. 175.09. Now, this is the side, this is the top and bottom. So we combine them to get the surface area of everything. So 175 plus 72.6. And our total surface area is 247.69 centimeters squared. Okay, and the volume then is the area of the circle times the height. So the area of the circle is just this, not times 2 because there's only one circle, and then times the height. So 3.4 squared times pi is 36.2, so 36.3 is the area of this. 36.3 is the area of the circle, and then you multiply that by 8.2 is 297.65. 297.65. So that is your volume, 297.65 centimeters cubed. All right, the cube, the surface area on a cube, all of these sides are the same. So 6.2, 6.2, all the way around, right? So that means that if I find on a cube, you find the area of one side or one face, and then every face is going to be the same. And there's 6 faces, right? Front, back, side, side, top, bottom, right? So 6.2 times 6.2 is going to give us 38.44. And that's what each side, the area of each side is. And there's 6 sides. So we multiply that times 6, and we get the surface area is 230.64 square inches. And the volume is going to be 6.3 times, or sorry, 6.2 times 6.2 times 6.2. So 6.2 cubed is 238.33 inches cubed. All right, this, we have a square pyramid. So the surface area of this is you're going to have to find the surface area of one of these triangles, right? And then multiply it times 4. And then find the area of the base and add those together. So let's see here. The area of the base is going to be 12 times 12, or 144. So the base is going to be 144 centimeters squared. And then the sides is going to be 4 times, because there's 4 sides, right? 4 sides of half the base, 6 times height. So half of 12 is 6 times 10, right? So 6 times 10 is going to be the area of this one triangle. But there's 4 triangles in this pyramid. So 60 times 4 is 240. Plus the 144 is 384 square centimeters. So this surface area of this guy is 384 centimeters squared. The volume of that is going to be 1/3 the area of the base times the height. And the height on this one is this 8. It's got to be the inside height. Okay? So 1/3 of the area of the base we found to be 144. 144 times your height is 8. So you can do this a bunch of different ways from here. You can do 8 times 144 and then divide it by 3. You can divide 144 by 3 and then multiply it by 8, however you want. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and do 144 divided by 3 and then multiply that times 8. And it's 384. Oh, look at that. It did it again. 384 centimeters cubed. And here I said it never happens. Okay. 21. All right, so the surface area of a cone is the pi r slant height. So first thing we're going to have to do is find the slant height of this guy right here. Okay, so we have 4 centimeters and 8 centimeters, so that's A and B, and this is our C squared. So 4 squared plus 8 squared equals C squared, right? Or H squared, cube, whatever side, whatever. So 16 plus 64 equals C squared. That's going to give me 80 equals C squared. And then to find C, actually, you take the square root of 80. So square root of 80 is 8.94. So this over here is 8.94. All right. So the surface area of a sphere, or not a sphere, sorry, a cone, the surface area is pi r times the slant height. So pi is 3.14, and the radius is 4, and the slant height we decided was 8.91. So we do that first. So 3.14 times 4 times 8.91 is 111.91. 111.91. And then we have to find pi r squared. So this piece is for the cone part. Now we need to find the area of this circle, which is pi r squared, which is going to be 4 squared is 16 times pi. So 3.14 times 16 is 50.24. And then you add those two numbers together, and it's 162, sorry, 162.15 centimeters squared. All right, to find the volume of a cone, you take 1/3 the base time, the area of the base times the height. So the area of the base is 50.24 because we found it for the surface area up here. So we're going to take 1/3 times the area of the base is 50.24 times the height, which is 8. Okay, so, oops, clear. So alpha 1/3 times 50.24 times 8 is 133.97 centimeters cubed. Okay. This guy, the surface area, when you have a rectangular prism like this and you have to do the surface area, it's literally just 2 times 2 of the numbers multiplied together, so 5 times 11, and then 2 of the 5 times 8, and then 2 of the 8 times 11. And then you add them all up. This is surface area. So 55 times 2 is 110. 40 times 2 is 80. 88 times 2 is 176. Double check. Yeah, 176 plus 190 is 366. Nope, that right? Yep, 366. So 366 centimeters squared. And then to find the volume of a rectangular prism, you just multiply these three numbers together. So 8 times 5 times 11 is 440 centimeters cubed, because it's volume. Okay, on 23, to find the surface area of this guy, you're going to have to find the surface area of the cone and then find the surface area of the cylinder. Now you've got to be, you got to be careful though, because this circle inside here is not going to be counted as surface area because it's going to be trapped between the cone and the cylinder, so it's not going to be figured in the surface area. So when you do this for the surface area, you only find the cone part and you only find one of the circles and the side on the cylinder. So for the cone, it's going to be pi r times slant height, which is 8. So 3.14 times r is 3 times your slant height is 8. So 3.14 times 3 times 8. So the cone, without the circle in the bottom, is just going to be 75.36. And then the cylinder, we have to find the area of the bottom circle, but not the top, right? Because remember back, like up at number 18, we did this times 2 because there were 2 of them. But this surface is going to be covered up by that cone, so we won't figure it in. But we still need to find the bottom. So that's pi, which is 3.14, times radius squared would be 3 squared is 9, times, we're doing surface area. So that's going to be 3.14 times 9 is 28.26. So that is just this circle down here. And then to find the side of the cylinder, we find the circumference of this circle, which is the diameter, all the way across would be 6 times pi. So 6 times 3.14 is 18.84. And then we multiply that times the height, which is 12. Is 226.08. So that is the surface area of all this side of the cylinder, essentially. So we have the surface area of the cone, and we add it to the surface area of the cylinder, and we get 301.44. So the surface area is 301.44 inches squared. The volume, you find the normal volume of the cone, the normal volume of a cylinder, and you add them together. So the volume of the cone is going to be 1/3 the area of the base times the height. So the area of the base is 9 pi, and 9 pi I think is 28.26. So 28.26 times 6 is your height. So 1/3 of 28.26, and your height is 6. So 1/3 of 6 is 2, so it's 28.26 times 2. 28.26 times 2 is 56.52. And that is your cone. That's the volume of the cone. And then the volume of the cylinder is going to be the area of the circle, which is 28.26, times your height, which is 12. And is that right? Yeah. 20.08. Okay, so basically then we take 226 plus 56, 226.08 plus 56.52, add them together, and we get 282.60. 282.60 inches cubed. Okay. Okay, a regular sandbox has length of 60, 40, and 6. What's the volume? So 60 times 40 times 6 to find the volume. So 60 times 40 is 2,400 times 6 is 14,400. 14,400 inches cubed. The cylinder, cylindrical water tower is 24 feet high and has a diameter of 20. So that means the radius is 10. How many cubic feet? So cubic, that should tell you right there that it's going to be volume. Volume of a cylinder is the area of the circle, which is going to be 10 squared times pi. So that's 100 times pi would be 314. That's the area of this cylinder, top guy. And then it's 24 feet high, so 314 times 24. 314 times 24 is 7536. And that's it. That's all they want, yeah. 7536 cubic feet. This one, they want the volume of this cylinder. It's same kind of thing. We have the radius of 2, so it's 3.14 times 2 squared times 11. So that's 3.14 times 4 times, why did it not, sorry, 3.14 times 4 times 11. 138.16. And that is feet cubed also. What's the difference between volumes of these two triangular prisms? So find the area of the base and times it times the height or the length. So here, 7 times 5 divided by 2 is going to be 35 divided by 2 is 17 and a half. So 17 and a half, right? So this is a triangle, half the base times the height. Half of 7 times 5. So half of 35 is 17.5. And then, so that's the area of this triangle. And then we multiply that times the length here. So times 14. Times 14 is 245 centimeters cubed. Over here, we have 8 times 10, so 1/2 of 8 times 10. That's 80. Half of 80 is 40. Times the height is 32. So 40 times 32 is 1,280. So the difference between the two would be 1,280 minus 245, which is 1,035 cubic centimeters. That's the difference between them. How much plastic is needed to cover a beach ball with a radius of 20? So that means the diameter is 40. Make sure to include the units. Okay, and we're talking inches. And so the surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared. And the radius is 20. So we have 4 times 3.14 times 20 squared. So we square 20 first, and that gives us 400. 400 times 4 is 1,600. So 1,600 pi, or 1,600 times 3.14 is 5,024 cubic inches. Nope, square inches, square. It's surface area. The volume of the cone is the volume of a cone is 1/3 the area of the base times the height. So 1/3, and then we have to find the area of the base, which is the circle, and that is going to be, the area of the base is going to be pi r squared. So r is 4, so 3.14 times 4 squared, or 16 times 3.14. So 16 times 3.14 is 50.24. So the area of the base is 50.24. And then the height is this height right here, which they did not give us. But we know this is 4 and this is 5, so this has got to be 3, which obviously then it's out of proportion, not to scale, whatever you want to say. But remember, on right triangles, if one side's 4, one side's 3, the other side's 5. So 3, 4, 5 right triangle. The 5 has to obviously be the hypotenuse. But that means this side is 3, so my height is 3. Well, 1/3 of 3 is 1. So that means our volume is going to be 50.24 inches cubed. All right, we're going to go back to the surface area on number 23 and the volume of this cylinder and cone combination. I just didn't feel real confident in my answer, so I went back and reworked it, and yeah, I messed it up. So we're going to try it again. So to find the surface area of these two things, first I'm going to find the surface area of the cone. And the surface area of this cone, okay, so I'm going to use this little piece of paper, and kind of what I've done is I've separated the cone and the cylinder, okay? And when you're finding the surface area of the cylinder and the cone, you're only going to find the actual like pointy part of the cylinder, right? This part, I mean, of the cone, because this circle part is going to be combined with the circle on top of the cylinder, and so those surfaces are going to be stuck in the middle, and so they're not going to be part of the actual surface area. They're in the middle of the whatever you want to call that. So they're not going to be, if you were wrapping a gift, you wouldn't wrap that part of it. So we only need the top part of the cone, okay? So to find the surface area of a cone, it's pi r slant height plus the area of the circle, but we're not going to find the area of the circle, so it's just going to be pi r slant height, which is this guy right here. So it's 3.14 times the radius is 3 and the slant height is 8. So when I crunch those out, it's 75.36. Okay, that's just the cone. Then the cylinder, the surface area of the cylinder is going to be pi r squared. That's the circle on the bottom, and we only do that one. Usually we'd multiply it by 2, but we're only going to do 1. Plus the diameter times pi times the height. Okay, so we've got the area of this circle down here, and then we have to find the outside of it. We find this length times that height. It gives us the area of this side. So that is 3.14, and then radius squared would be 9, plus the diameter is going to be 6 times 3.14 times the height is 12. Okay, so clear. 3.14 times 9 is 28.26 plus 6, where'd I go? 6 times 3.14 times 12. That's 226.08. Okay, and so when you add these two together, 28.26, you get 254.34. So that's the surface area of the cylinder. This is the surface area of the cone, and we combine those, and we get 329.7. inches squared. Okay, now the volume, again, the volume now is going to be the volume of a cone plus the volume of a cylinder, just like we always did, right? And so we have the volume of a cone is 1/3 the area of the base times the height. So 1/3 the area of the base is going to be 9 pi right, times your height is 6. Okay, well 1/3 of 6 is 2, right? 6 divided by 3 is 2. 2 times 9 is 18, so 18 pi. So 18 times pi is 56.52. That is the volume of the cone. Okay, oh, I guess I could do that on the paper here. So the volume of the cone is 1/3 base times the height, or 1/3 9 pi times 6. 1/3 of 6 is 2. 2 times 9 is 18 pi, which is 56.52. So that's the cone. The volume of the cylinder is going to be the area of the circle times the height. So that's going to be pi r squared again. So that's 9 pi, because your radius squared is 9 times pi times 12, which is clear. 9 times 12 times pi, 339.12. So the volume of the cylinder plus the volume of the cone, we add those together, 56.52, and you get 395.64. So 395.64 cubic inches. That's better. All right, thank you for watching my channel. Hit that subscribe button. No, I'm just kidding. I will see you tomorrow.